that was the problem with the Pergamos church. They became tolerant. But you know something? Nowhere in the Bible, absolutely nowhere, does God ever say anything about us being tolerant to sin. From Genesis to Revelation, the same principle runs consistently. From Adam and Eve in Genesis to the mark of the beast in Revelation. There is one theme that is consistent. Are you ready to hear it? Are you ready to hear this consistent one theme throughout the Bible? Here it is. Here it is. Listen up. Obey and live, or disobey and die. That's what God told Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden in Genesis, the first book of the Bible. And that's also the exact criteria for whether you receive the mark of the beast or receive the seal of God in the book of Revelation, which is the last book of the Bible. God has never changed the rules. They have always been the same. Hebrews 13:8, Jesus Christ, the same yesterday, today, and forever. And in the very last chapter of the very last book of the Bible, Revelation 22 and verse 14, it reads, and I love how it is in the King James Version, blessed are they that do His commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life and may enter in through the gates into the city. Don't you see, friend? From Adam and Eve in Genesis to the tree of life in Revelation, it's always been about obedience. Obey and live, or disobey and die. But hey, in a tolerant church, all this obedience stuff goes out the window. No one has to obey God. God is love. It won't matter to Him. So just do as you please. Anything goes. Just do whatever you're comfortable with. Do whatever makes you feel good. And it doesn't matter what you believe, just as long as we all love Jesus. And then in this tolerant church of Pergamos, they were tolerating not just one bad doctrine, but two. The first false doctrine was of the Nicolaitans. And now we have another false doctrine being tolerated there that Jesus called the doctrine of Balaam. Now, if you've been a Christian for any period of time, you know a little bit about this guy, Balaam. Balaam was an Old Testament prophet who was famous because he had a talking donkey. And in Numbers 22:28, you will find out that Balaam just started carrying on a regular conversation with his donkey. I mean, with him talking back and forth to each other. Now, you know, with Hollywood animation today, we see this kind of stuff all the time in movies and on TV. But folks, this was the real deal. This guy Balaam and his donkey really were talking back and forth to each other. Anyway, Balak, the king of Moab, wanted Balaam, the prophet, to curse the children of Israel. They were coming through the land, so he hired Balaam, a preacher, to curse them. Well, Balaam loved money more than he loved God, so he said, I'll do it. And King Balak takes Balaam up on a cliff overlooking God's people. And he says, okay, Balaam, do what I paid you to do. Curse those dirty, rotten scoundrels. And so Balaam, he stretches out his hands and he gets ready to curse Israel. And he opens his mouth and something like this must have come out. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. And every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. For this is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is of me, saith the Lord. King Balak says, hey, wait just a minute. That didn't sound like any curse to me. In fact, that sounded more like a blessing, you idiot. Didn't you hear yourself what you were saying? You just pronounced a blessing on them. And Balaam said, I did? Yes. Well, Balaam said, I didn't mean to. Well, that sure is what came out of your mouth. Now try it again. So Balaam puffed up real big and he shouted, for thus saith the Lord God, behold, even I will bring them to their own land and feed them upon the mountains of Israel by the rivers and all the inhabited places of the country, and I will feed them in a good pasture, and upon the high mountains of Israel shall their fold be. And there they shall lie in a good fold, and in a fat pasture shall they feed upon the mountains of Israel, and I will feed my flock, and I will cause them to lie down, saith the Lord God. Oh, Balaam smiled and said, how is that, Balak? Balak was furious. He said, you blessed him again. Anyway, to make a long story short, this happened 4 times. Balaam would go up there to curse him, and he'd open his mouth, and all that would come out would be blessings. But listen to this. Listen to this. You would have thought that by this time Balaam, if he had had half a brain, would have gotten out of there. But he wanted that money so bad. He said, okay, plan B. King Balak, if I can't curse him, I'll tell you one surefire way to get God mad at him. And you know what that no count good for nothing Balaam told King Balak? He said, get real friendly with the children of Israel. Send them a welcome party with gifts, and then start inviting them to big feasts and social events, and get real chummy with them, and before long their men will start marrying your women, and your men will start marrying their women, and bingo! The curse of God will come down on them, and your mission will have been accomplished.